This is the Emotional Vocabulary Series by Duenas. Today we will address the emotion of guilt. Why do we feel guilty, and how can we transform guilt into growth? Let's explore the complex emotion of guilt, its roots, its effects, and the steps to finding forgiveness and peace. Introduction. Guilt is an emotion that arises when we perceive that we have caused harm or violated our moral values. It reflects our capacity for empathy, accountability, and ethical decision-making. While guilt can motivate positive change and repair, excessive or unresolved guilt becomes a burden, impacting mental health and relationships. Understanding guilt allows us to address it constructively and move toward forgiveness and personal growth. Including guilty in our emotional vocabulary is crucial for fostering self-awareness and emotional balance. Definitions. Layman's definition. Feeling guilty means experiencing regret or remorse for one's actions, thoughts, or decisions, often accompanied by a desire to make amends. Clinical definition. Guilt refers to an emotional state characterized by self-reproach, regret, and responsibility for causing harm or violating personal or societal standards. Perception and expression in everyday contexts. Guilt is expressed through verbal apologies, withdrawal, or self-punishing behaviors. It reflects a need for resolution and restoration of integrity. Origins. Evolutionary roots. Guilt evolved as a social mechanism to encourage cooperation and repair within groups, fostering trust and collaboration. Cultural dimensions. Cultural norms shape how guilt is experienced and expressed. Collectivist cultures often emphasize guilt as a motivator for group harmony, while individualistic cultures focus on personal accountability and growth. Biological mechanisms. Guilt activates the prefrontal cortex, which governs moral reasoning, and the anterior cingulate cortex, associated with conflict resolution. It often involves elevated stress hormones like cortisol, reflecting emotional distress. Effects of guilt on psyche. Guilt fosters self-awareness and accountability but, if unresolved, contributes to anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. On daily life. This emotion shapes habits, such as seeking forgiveness, avoiding similar mistakes, or engaging in self-punishment. On family and friends. Guilt influences relationships by motivating repair and reconciliation but can also create distance if not communicated effectively. In the workplace. Guilt in professional settings drives accountability and improvement but can hinder productivity if excessive or mismanaged. On freedom. While guilt limits personal freedom through emotional distress, addressing it fosters growth and a renewed sense of purpose. Examples. Personal story. A person feels guilty after forgetting a friend's birthday, but strengthens their relationship by apologizing and making amends. Societal behavior. Collective guilt over historical injustices often inspires movements for acknowledgement and reparations. Historical event. Post-World War II, Germany faced collective guilt, leading to efforts for reconciliation and restorative justice. Challenges in mental health, dealing with guilt. Unresolved or excessive guilt contributes to conditions like depression, anxiety, and obsessive-compulsive tendencies. It often fosters self-punishment and creates barriers to emotional recovery. Management and mitigation. Strategies. Therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, helps reframe irrational guilt and develop healthier coping mechanisms. Forgiveness practices. Seeking and granting forgiveness fosters emotional resolution. Self-compassion. Recognizing one's humanity and capacity for growth reduces the burden of guilt. Resources. Books on overcoming guilt and finding peace. Support groups for navigating guilt and regret. Counseling services for addressing persistent guilt and related conditions. Conclusion. Guilt is a complex emotion that reflects our moral compass and capacity for accountability. By understanding its triggers and impacts, individuals can navigate guilt constructively, fostering growth and emotional resilience. Emotional intelligence around guilt empowers us to seek forgiveness, make amends, and move forward with greater clarity and integrity. This was The Emotion of Guilt from the Emotional Vocabulary series by Duenas.